Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Hey, Faith Positive Nation, you know, if you've watched or listened to more than one of these podcasts of Faith Positive Radio, I'm really just a big kid, a kid at heart. In fact, I did a speaking engagement once and someone from the audience walked up to me and said, Dr. Joey, you're really just a big kid. Yeah, I am. I'm still in third grade in my mind. I can do math at about that level too, which makes it so exciting for me today and way cool that our guest helps children to be purposeful in their creativity, and she does inspirational games and books and all sorts of really cool stuff. Aww. And helps families, really helps moms and dads to interpret the holidays and things like that in a biblically relevant way that has application. So, man, I am just so excited. Her stuff is in Cracker Barrel. So as you're traveling up and down the East Coast, when you stop and get I really like the chicken breast fillet. You know, they're too it's fried dumplings. Chicken, of course. Yeah. Well, see, you too, huh? You're from San Francisco and you eat the dumplings? That is awesome. That is awesome. This may be a geographical oddity. The one person in San Francisco that eats chicken and dumplings at Cracker Barrel is on Faith Positive Radio. So you heard it first here, right? Now, I put lots of pepper on mine, but yes, I love them. So she's at Cracker Barrel. She's been on QVC. She's in Barnes & Noble. She is amazing. You're going to love our guest today because she has something for the parent in all of us and the big kid in all of us. And she's a mom herself. She has a 6th grader. She has a 3rd grader. She has a 1st grader. She has a husband, and she has a Labradoodle at her feet right now.
Yes, I do. Yes,
so
I do.
She's a mompreneur who can do it all, who has done it all, but does it all with a meaning and a purpose and an inspiration that is amazing. So buckle up. We're going to have fun today. The name of her company is Star Kids. Her name is Natalie Ard. So Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome Natalie Ard. Natalie, I'm so excited. Can you tell?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited as well. It's going to be fun.
It is fun. It's fun already because I'm just thinking about games and coloring and all sorts of fun stuff because I'm a big kid. So
I am too.
That's amazing. So this company of yours was born on your dining room table. What'd you do? Sit down and scratch it out on a napkin or something?
You know what? It's funny. I never really intended to have a business or to be an entrepreneur. I didn't actually even know that I had that in me. But with 3 kids, I think as a mom, you get creative about things, especially about how you teach your kids about faith and things that are important to you. You got to kind of be tricky a little bit with your kids or just find something creative that actually draws their attention. So my oldest, who is now 11, when she was about 3 or 4, this new phenomenon hit the scene during Christmas time, which was called Elf on the Shelf. I love really any tradition that families take to implement their family and that it's fun and brings them together, but it wasn't a fit for our family at all.
Okay.
So a couple more years down the road, now it's gaining popularity and is all over the place. Mm-hmm. My daughter began to ask me why we didn't have one.
Yeah, come on,
and
Mom.
So I just kind of I created something for her, and it had no name at the time.
Did you really?
So I cut out a cardboard star and spray painted it gold, and I read my children the story of the 3 wise men. And so instead of me hiding an elf at night, I would hide this little gold star. It's actually quite big. And in the morning when they woke up, they'd hunt around the house till they found it. And then when they found it, we already had our kid play nativity set. They would go get their 3 wise men and move them to the star.
Oh,
and we did that
so
instead.
Cool.
So, and kids at school, well, what's your elf's name? Well, we don't have an elf, but we have a star. So that's kind of where the activity started. And then years passed, and I would share that with my friends. My husband right away was like, that's a good idea. You should do something with that. And, encouragement through him and through some more friends down the road, I just realized, I may not have a background in making toys but I I sure do have some things that I'm passionate about. I like to draw, I like to write. And so through many godly nudges, I just kind of took the step, and it took, it started and it ended in some shoves. But I decided I was going to try to do something with this. I couldn't be the only family that was looking for something that was playful and interactive, but that really focused on why we were celebrating Christmas in the first place. So that started in 2014. And by Christmas 2014, I actually had a product that I could sell. So really? It's a wooden nativity set. It comes with the book. It's called The Christmas Star from Afar. And so by now it had a name, and it had artwork that went with it, and a story that I wrote that went with it. And it sold really, really well the first year. So what I thought was going to be a hobby is now like snowballing into a full-time career. And so it's been quite a fun, interesting journey. And I feel very blessed that God called me to it.
Right. So how did you get the first distribution contract? I mean, you just don't walk up to somebody or knock on the door, send them an email and say,
oh my goodness,
hi, I have the coolest Christmas game ever.
I have fumbled through this. So year one, I only sold online. So it was, promoting a little bit through Facebook and friends of friends and word of mouth.
Sure.
2015, I started with trade shows. So my very first trade show I ever went to was in Atlanta, the big gift show there in January at America's
Shout
Mart.
out to all of Faith Positive Atlanta, Perry Rue, our regional leader, and all the people down there.
Oh my goodness.
Great city.
What a great, it is a fantastic city. I love going there. I still go there at least once or twice a year.
Sure.
But that's kind of where it started, with more independent shops, little mom and pop shops, from bookstores to toy stores to baby stores. That's where I was introduced to a lot of stores there. And then it just starts to grow. Once you've started distribution with some smaller 1s and 2 shops all over the U.S., then you go, then somebody else finds out about you, or I started using a distribution of different reps as well throughout the country. So a lot of introductions happened there, but it was kind of, I feel like it was slow, steady growth, but in reality, it's only been 3 years. But you take strategic steps, because you can't just think of something and then go sell it at Target the next day. It doesn't work that easily.
Right. That's right. Or Cracker Barrel or QVC or any place like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's been fun growth along the way, but it's been pretty strategic, so that I can grow the business and have funding to support inventory. Right,
exactly. So what does your typical day look like running your company?
Oh, I feel like every day looks completely different. And right now, so I have 2 products right now. One is the Star from Afar for Christmas, and one is called the Easter Story Egg. So it's definitely a seasonal business, in where things look completely different in November than they do in May. So it does kind of ebb and flow that way a little bit, but it's always busy, because when you're dealing with these little bit larger chains, they're buying for Christmas a whole year out.
Absolutely.
Sometimes even more. But my average day right now, so it's, oh goodness, I start pretty early. I think one thing that I've learned with being an entrepreneur is you really have to make some time for yourself. So I wake up early, and I start my day with either listening to a podcast, reading, doing my Bible study. I take about 45 minutes that's just strictly focused on usually something faith-based, because that's how I want to start my day. So it depends on what's going on. Like I just started my Bible study today with my group of girls that I do Bible study with. So I spent some time doing Bible study stuff this morning.
Oh, cool. Yeah. You have to get your head in the game each day, don't you? I mean, you got to be focused on Christ. So it's not about us.
Exactly. And it definitely sets my intentions for the work ahead from a business standpoint, but also being a good mom and being a good wife throughout the day.
Wow.
So my kids go to school around 8, and I make sure that I'm present for them in the morning and, doing the school shuffle and get them to school. And then I still usually work from
school shuffle, right?
It is the school shuffle.
Get out the door.
And then once everybody's safe and happy at school. Then my work
or
day
safe anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, they're all still very much love school. So
That is sweet.
I'm happy with that. But
Yes.
The average day kind of, it's a lot of stuff on the computer. A lot of making sure that orders are going through, things are being charged right. I have a lot of inventory coming in from overseas right now. So managing the freight, I feel like there's so many things you deal with when you have a small business. So
details, right?
And next thing you know, it's 3:00 and my kids are coming home from school. And I've really tried to make a hard stop then of from then until my kids go to bed. Granted, there's usually like I'll have to hop in and do a little bit more work for a half an hour to an hour, but I really try to focus on them when they get home because I think it's important for my kids to see me working, but I also feel like they are my biggest importance. So I need to create boundaries when it comes to being someone that works from home and has her own business.
Now, there's a great word, boundaries, right?
Yeah, for sure.
The Cloud and Townsend really should pay for my next daughter's wedding because I've sold so many copies of that book to clients. They say, have you heard of the book Boundaries? Especially when I'm working with Christian business professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking about life work balance, right? And boundaries and all that kind of stuff, which is really, at least in my experience for myself, I'm working with other small business owners. It's really fun to talk about that. It's really hard.
It's really hard.
Yeah. So what are your keys to success for that?
Well, I feel like I used to always use that term work-life balance. That word was always there. And I feel like for me, balance isn't a word I should strive for because what I do on a daily basis is constantly changing. So for me, boundaries is more of the word where I have to schedule time in for myself, make sure that I have a scheduled area that is 100% dedication to my kids. So I guess the whole balance or boundaries is like I said, it's really scheduling in time. Like, okay, I get up at 5:30 or 6 and until 6:45, that's time where I'm going to do things that fill me up. That's time where I'm going to read the word, where I'm going to listen to the word, where I'm going to have on worship music in the background. From 3 to 5, when kind of dinner begins, or when the running kids around for sports is, it's the phone goes away, the computer is shut, and I take those time to sit down and sit at the table with my kids when they do homework and be there, because a lot of times not just homework happens then, conversation happens then.
Absolutely.
And
that's the important stuff. That's when it comes out, what's on their little hearts and minds.
Right, exactly. And, sometimes that means I'm going to have to work late into the night, but but I've realized that makes a big difference, not just for my kids, but for how I feel at the end of the day too. Because there's nothing worse than having checked all these things off your list when it comes to the business and then go to bed feeling depleted and kind of like I didn't hang out with my kids or tried to be the best mom I could to my kids that day.
Yeah. And I know you and I were talking before we got started about Kristen Ivy, whom I interviewed from Orange, about the phases of life. So I mean, with a 6th grader, 3rd grader, and a 1st grader, you got them there. They don't have car keys yet.
Right.
So they're not rushing off to all places, right?
Yeah.
So this is that phase of entrepreneurship that you want to be there. So I hear you talking about boundaries, hard stops and things like that. But the word that really comes to my mind is harmony. You've got this whole symphony of a life going on, right? And all the musical instruments are trying to play together. As long as we're on the same score of music, that is the way God wants your business to grow and your family. Yeah. He'll honor your efforts. And it sounds like to me, that's really creating harmony within you and for your family.
Absolutely. And sometimes, some days I fail miserably at it.
Oh, and you hit a sour note.
Yeah, some days I hit a sour note. I need my piano tuned or something. But
I need my heart tuned. That's what I need.
Right.
Let me get a tune up here with you, Holy Spirit.
Exactly. So I think it's just kind of listening and being aware, and at least trying to have some boundaries in place that set a good intention for you. And it can't be the same every day. There are things that come up
Right.
that you have to be flexible and willing to shift things around a little bit. But I feel like that's how I've been able to try to incorporate this working from home mompreneur thing, because I never want my kids to look at it as though it was something negative. I want my kids to look at what I do as mommy worked hard, mommy did what she believed in, mommy loved the Lord, and tried to share that with others.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. And it's got to be pretty cool when your mom designs games and writes stories and things for kids and you're her kid. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
aren't they like the lab rats? Maybe that's
They
not the best
are the
word.
lab
Guinea
rats.
pig. Guinea pig.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a better word. Don't you
They
try
are.
stuff out on them?
I do. So when I made the Easter, the story egg, I intentionally tried to get as much work as I could done actually before Easter. So this would have been 2016, because I wanted to try it out with them during Easter to get feedback. And there were a lot of things that we switched, things that maybe I had written in a way that made it more confusing than it was easy for them. So they definitely are my guinea pigs, and they're always my my models for photo shoots.
Are they really?
Yeah,
That's so cool.
More often than not, they are.
Yeah, that's
you
awesome.
know, they get to be a part of it. Or even when I'm thinking of new things, like, what do you guys think of this name? Or what do you think of? And then they give me some of their crazy ideas too. Mom, you should make a game that does this. And so it's fun to see their little minds working, and to see that they know that you can take an idea and make it into something. As off the wall as that idea might be, like, it's just a matter of thinking of new things and kind of using the tools that you've been given to turn it into something.
Wow. So you're growing little entrepreneurs.
Oh, I think so. I think so. Idea makers. They are definitely idea makers.
Well, that's what entrepreneurs do. We take ideas. Sometimes we take other people's ideas, right?
Yes. Like yes.
Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. You know, I mean, they take other people's ideas. Whoops, I said that out loud. They take other people's ideas. But I mean, you just take an idea and then you actualize it. You make it real. I mean, Faith Positive Radio, in fact, started in God's heart and got planted in my heart. And here I'm talking to Natalie Ard today. So, I mean, that's just kind of the way it happens. So what do your children say to you sometimes that might challenge you in the midst of being a mompreneur? That they say, well, Mom.
You know, I want to say it was the end of last school year. And, you know, oftentimes in class, they'll have children write about themselves and, you know, how would you recognize me? Or what do I think about this? Just like little writing pieces. And I want to say, it was for Mother's Day. That's what it was. It was for Mother's Day.
Oh, no.
And you fill out the things about your mom. Like my mom is, I think my daughter said I was like 25 years old. I'm like, you are my favorite child.
Wow, man.
You know, so it was just cute. Well, they fill out, like it's fill in the blank.
But which child was that? The first grader or the sixth grader?
That was my first grader.
Yeah. Well, see, 25 is old to her. So that was the biggest number she's learned yet. Oh, I'm sorry.
So one of the questions was, what does my mommy likes to, and she filled in the blank, work. And it kind of broke my heart a little bit. I was like, okay, I didn't really know how I was supposed to take that. Like, was that a positive comment or a negative? And that's where I really, really then focused on these boundaries of I make sure to never say in front of my kids, just a minute, mommy's working.
Oh, wow.
In a minute, mommy's working.
Yeah,
so
I might here.
Right. And I might just phrase that different. Like, mommy is right in the middle of this, you know, I'll be with you in 2 minutes. Cause obviously there are some times that I am right in the middle of doing something, but just seeing that written on paper. So that definitely challenged me.
Did you ask her what she meant by it?
You know, I think I did ask her what she meant, and it wasn't anything that was negative. It really wasn't. I took it that way, and but that was okay, because I don't want my kids to think that one of my favorite things to do is work. Or at least that word. I would like, you know, that a mommy likes to tell kids about Jesus. That'd be another one. Or so I just made me realize that I do need to be very intentional on ways that I convey with my kids what I'm doing. So I try to picture what I'm doing through my kids' eyes sometimes. So that's, I guess, something that has definitely challenged me. And so bringing them in on the fun, like when I'm creating something new and we all sit down and like get out all my do not touch mommy's art supplies and I let them use them. Like that's how I hope that they remember when you created this new product and we all sat down and we colored, like that's
wow.
That challenges me.
See, that's awesome. That's got to be memory making time. And I mean, that's the most important thing right there. Sure, you're building a company and coming up with new product lines, but just imagine it from the sixth, third, and first graders' viewpoint.
Right. And that's kind of, I think that is having kids and doing what I do. It's a good challenge. I think it brings even more creativity to my business world.
Absolutely. So what is there about you, Natalie, that God said, I'm going to gift Star from Afar to Natalie Ard? You know, what is it about you?
I ask that question all the time. I didn't have the background in what I do. I really sometimes feel like I was like the least likely person, but
the Apostle Paul said that about himself too. So some pretty awesome people have felt that way.
Like, are you sure you got the right girl? Because I don't have a clue what I'm doing, but I think,
which means you have to depend on him.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And I love how, he rarely ever calls the equipped, but he will equip the call.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's part of it is, even when I started this whole business, I was probably only 5 years into being a Christian myself.
Wow.
So I didn't grow up in that environment. We went to church on Christmas and Easter, but, and I think that's kind of the beauty of it is I didn't have all the skill set. I'm still learning. I'm still, learning what my faith looks like. But that he can take the most unlikely person. And if that's the path he's set forward, he will pull you through it.
I think he intentionally chooses people like that so that he can get the glory, because
absolutely.
Just look at who Jesus chose as disciples.
Right.
Come on, really? Stinky fisherman,
I know.
A thief called a tax collector. He didn't exactly choose the most learned, honorable people in the world. So I take a lot of comfort and solace from that. Maybe you can do something with me too then.
Well, and I love that he took, as a child, that was my favorite thing to do was draw. I love to sketch. I love to draw. I was constantly, that was just kind of my hobby and passion. And it somewhat fizzled away a little bit when I had children. It was more like coloring books with children. But it wasn't, I love that he rebirthed that. So he took what was just a hobby and turned that into something that I would have never in my wildest dreams imagined that this is what I'd be doing today. Never. and so it's very, I feel like it's visible to other people that this could only be God.
Wow. And see, that's just the way God writes stories,
Oh, yes.
He just wants the glory to go to him. And the minute we start thinking it's about us, I think that's when the best ideas start passing on to somebody else who's a little more God-friendly. Can I put it that way?
And like you said, I have had to depend on him a lot. I have had to lean on him a lot because I need him. I don't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions I have and a lot of steps that I have to take that are often scary for me. And my faith has grown more than I would have ever imagined myself at this point in my life.
So tell me a story about when you were scared and you knew God was calling you to do something, but you were scared and you increased your faith and went and did it anyway.
Oh gosh. I think really the starting of this whole business, I was scared because I didn't have the so-called professional skill set. And
what does that mean? You didn't have an MBA or something like that?
Right.
Or?
I'm not a published author. I'm not an illustrator that's been featured somewhere else before. I don't even know how to I have to actually sketch stuff on paper and give it to someone else to make it digital for me. I don't have those. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But when this whole idea started to happen, it was actually when I decided, what? I think I can turn this into a business.
Uh-huh.
And like I mentioned, those nudges, well, they just kept happening over and over and over again. And I was sitting in church, and this was probably 2 or 3 weeks before Christmas.
Okay.
And I wish that I could recall exactly what was said in that sermon. But as I was sitting there, my pastor was speaking, and I'm just, in my mind, I think I picked up on half what he was saying. And then I just started thinking about this business and everything related to one another. And I just, right there sitting in church, I was like, okay, when I get home, I'm going and I'm buying my domain name. And I went home and I bought the domain name, and that was like the first step. So what's always often the hardest for me is the first step.
Oh, I know.
And that was the first step. And now it's like, ooh, ouch. Wait, I took this first step. Now I got to take another one.
Now what?
And so it's like just those committing to, they don't have to be big steps, but they're just little steps along the way.
So getting your domain name was your first step.
That was my first step. And for some reason, once I had that, I kept working forward. And then I would get to a little bit of a roadblock and be like, ooh, do I go past this one or do I not? Well, you know what? I go back, I bought that domain name, right? That I have intentions that I'm going to do this. I'm going to at least try, okay, one more step. And then you get past one more step. But I feel like the Lord has challenged me a lot on trust as well.
Tell me more about that. How do you find it most effective to trust God?
I feel like if I don't trust that what he has laid before me, if I don't trust it, I get really wrapped up in worrying about the details, and worrying about what is going to happen next. But when I trust that, all these ideas come from him, all of the doors that open come from him. Also, all the doors that close come from him.
Thank you, Jesus.
Exactly. That I have to trust in that. And so I try not to get overly upset on maybe an opportunity that I wanted to happen doesn't, or, maybe an idea I'm thinking of just isn't coming. It's just not coming together. I can't find it.
Right.
Well, I'm not finding the manufacturer because it's not meant to work right now. So I've just tried to learn to kind of go with the flow, because that is often the flow that he's wanting me to be on at that moment. If I have to overly force something, then it's probably not in his will. Yeah.
It's almost like God knows what he's doing.
And man, that makes having a business a lot more fun when you.
It really does.
It really does, to not have to sweat all the small stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And trying to get people to that place of what we refer to as the believe core practice, where you're emotionally engaged and you're willing to trust God and give up control and just say, well, I thought we were going this direction, but look at all these doors that are opening in that direction. So I've got to follow God. How do I release control and trust God? And what I hear you saying is the way to learn to trust God is to trust God and let God prove himself to you. And you just keep going after that.
Well, you know what? After he's proven himself just a couple of times, you really rely on that.
I know.
And he doesn't have to prove himself anymore.
Yeah.
But usually it's right there in front of you. You just kind of
stuff happens. You got to be
aware. You got to be aware and really try to see things for what they are. And sometimes that's not easy. I've had large customers that I'm working with that I really, really wanted them to get the product.
Yeah.
And, they come back with a no, and you could be very disheartened by that, but you know what? It wasn't supposed to work out in the first place. And thank you, Jesus, for not, because it probably would have failed in that environment. So
what you do is you move beyond the short-term disappointment to see the long-term opportunity that God has in place for you. Because if you'd done business with that client, you wouldn't be able to do business with another client because they're mutually exclusive or something like that. And it turns out that the other client is the one God really wanted that's going to accelerate and grow your business, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the Message translation of Jeremiah 29:11, where we're promised all the future and the hope and things like that. The Message translation has God saying, I know what I'm doing. And as soon as I got that here, I was like, okay.
Yes.
Well, if he knows what he's doing, my job is to listen and then go do what he tells me to do.
Right. Exactly. And man, that takes the pressure off, right?
It does me. I sleep a lot better. I'm a lot more
Yes.
playful. So what's the next game? What's the next game that Star
Oh
Kids is going to
gosh.
release? Do you know yet?
Well, I'm working on some things right now, which is pretty funny.
Is it top secret? Should we
Well,
not
it
talk about this?
not top secret yet. I'm working on
Okay.
something for birthdays.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
but
I
it's
have one
not.
every year. I'd love to have a birthday
I
game.
know, just on like on honoring someone for their birthday,
Uh-huh.
and showing them love, and so it's still at the very beginning stages, but it's funny with like doors open and doors close. I had another idea that I just kept pushing that
Oh,
I
I
wanted to
know.
work on,
Yep.
and
Just
from
wouldn't
a
go with it.
manufacturing standpoint, I just kept getting no, or they were
Mm-hmm.
charging me way too much. And it was just like, God just kept closing these doors like, not that one, not that one, not
I
that one. I want you to
know.
do this one. And
Oh,
he's
that's
like,
right.
unfortunately, he had to repeat himself a lot of times.
Well,
But,
I refer to myself as like a puppy being housebroken.
oh
I
my
have to have
gosh.
my nose poked in it a bunch of times. I started a company one time. Great idea, marvelous idea.
Yeah.
Nobody bought. So I'm like, what's wrong with you people? And then I realized, wait a minute, this was Joey's idea and Joey's execution,
I
not
know.
God's. So
I know, but sometimes I feel like we have to have those too, to like learn a
oh,
little
I
bit of a
do.
lesson.
It's a part of the learning to trust process for me because
Yes.
it's how I lost all this hair. Beating my head on the wall, right? So anyway, Faith Positive Nation, they want your game because we're airing this episode, after Thanksgiving. That's the hyper buying season. Somebody's sitting there, oh man, I gotta have this for my kids. Where am I gonna get it? So it's called Star from Afar, right?
Yes.
And we're hiding a star.
Yes.
And we
so
go
think
and
of
find
it as an alternative or an addition to an elf tradition.
Okay.
You can weave it into any family traditions you have already. So you can begin the game on the first Sunday of Advent. You could begin it on December 1st. Or if you want it to be a little bit more low key, you can start a week before Christmas. So it's just all about creating the journey of the wise men through the child's home. And then on Christmas morning, the star will land on the stable. The three wise men will finally find baby Jesus. So it's just a great way to pull in the tradition of just keeping Jesus the center and the focus of Christmas.
Absolutely. So Christmas Day, we arrive at the manger, right?
Yep,
the three wise guys take us to the manger. I love it.
Yes. And you can have fun with it. Sometimes I hide candy with my star.
Really?
Yeah, keep them on their toes.
Christmas cookies too?
Ooh, I like that one. Christmas cookies.
Like oatmeal craisin, craisins are red.
Okay. I'm taking notes.
I'm getting hungry. We started talking about chicken and dumplings from Cracker Barrel, right?
I know. There's something wrong with us. We both must need to eat right now.
Yeah, my blood sugar's low.
But check out all the products. So I actually have it available in Spanish as well, and set in a darker skin color tone so that you can have, your kids can really relate to it.
Oh, I love it.
You can make it fun. There's scripture cards that sometimes you can hide with the star.
Really?
Extra stable animals.
Oh, cool.
And it's
you got camels and donkeys and all this stuff. I love it.
You got it. Kids always love the animals.
Oh, I do.
Kids love the animals.
Yeah, we do. We kids love the animals. We do.
So
I want to ride a donkey.
Starfromafar.com.
Starfromafar.com. Okay, it's in your episode copy right there. If you're on YouTube or iTunes, wherever you are watching or listening, it's right there. So if you're on the treadmill, don't hurt yourself.
Yes.
All right,
right on the website too, we have a store locator. So you can type in your zip code and go support your local stores. I love all these little independent bookstores and Christian bookstores. We definitely want to support those guys. Also Barnes and Noble and Cracker Barrel. And then I have a little something extra for the listeners too at starfromafar.com. /faith positive.
Cool.
There is a free download there on the website that will be a 10-page PDF coloring book for your kids.
A coloring book.
Man,
it's awesome.
So it takes some of the artwork from the book. So some of you'll see some of the characters as the angel and the three wise men, and just some also fun little Christmas scenes that you can print for your kids to get them excited for the upcoming amazing Christmas holiday.
Oh, I'm loving it. So starfromafar.com, and there's a book and there's a star and there's animals.
Yes. So the original set comes with a book, a full one nativity set, and it's in a gift box. And so that's the game and its pieces. And the story is a rhyming story about the three wise men following the star to Bethlehem.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So my girls are 30 and 25, but I think I'm going to buy my grandkids. They're not born yet, but I'm going to go ahead and get my grandkids a set. Is that okay?
See, they will love it. They will love it. They can play with their grandma and grandpa.
That's right. I'm Pops.
Yes.
I don't have grandkids,
Pops.
but they're going to call me Pops. Right?
I like that.
Yeah. starfromafar.com/faith positive. You get this really cool color book. While you're at starfromafar.com, be sure to find the store locator. You can go to, is it on the website at barnesandnoble.com?
I believe it is. Yes,
okay. And then if you want to go to Cracker Barrel, you can have the fried chicken breast or the chicken and dumplings. I'm sensing a chicken theme here. Yeah. Oh my God. Could you imagine?
Take one home for tomorrow.
I'll take a quart of chicken and dumplings, please. And you can find it all there. So if you're traveling for the holidays, it's really cool because there are Cracker Barrels everywhere, right?
Yes.
So you can just stop in and pick one up. Natalie Ard is the amazing mompreneur of Star Kids Company. And wow, you have certainly blessed me today. I absolutely love it. I love your concept.
Thank you.
And please give your kiddos my very best. Tell them Uncle Joey said hello. And thanks for being the lab rats and helping Mom be successful.
Yes, thank you.
I love it. Thank you so much. And we pray God's blessings on you, Natalie, and your company, your children, your amazing husband, Dave, and all that you touch. May it turn to star power in some incredible ways. Thanks for sharing with us today.
Much, Joey.
All right. God bless you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.